Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. And in this video, I'm actually not going to say my usual slogan that we're just highlighting the hypocrisy of the left, because the fact is, in this case, I'm going after both sides. Now, not necessarily the right at large, but certain bad actors who are engaging in fake news and narrative manipulation surrounding the FSU mass shooting case. Essentially, I've built this YouTube channel calling out fake news, and well, if I didn't call out fake news and narrative manipulation on my own side, then I'd be a massive frickin' hypocrite. So I'm simply not going to do that. We're going to call out both sides, expose the lies, be as straight up, fact-based, and impartial in our analysis as possible. I want to update you guys on all the facts that we know so far about the Florida State University shooting, and then I want to call out the bad actors on both sides. Let me update you guys on everything that we know so far. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so there was a mass shooting at Florida State University, and the suspect has now been identified as 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, and instantly it's become a complete mess all over X, with so many people jumping to different conclusions. Now there's a claim that's currently circulating, being pushed by a couple big right-wing accounts, promoting the claim that this kid, Phoenix Eichner, was a supposed far-left, pro-Palestine, Trump-hating activist, and from what I can gather, this statement seems to be absolutely false. The only evidence that's being used to back up that claim is a single quote that's being attributed to Phoenix Eichner from the FSU News newspaper, where he was allegedly quoted as saying this while being interviewed during an anti-Trump protest. Quote, "I think it's a little too late. Trump is already going to be inaugurated on January 20th. There's not really much that you can do unless you outright revolt." Now, that quote is being used to suggest that he was some kind of anti-Trump revolutionary, but if you read it again, I don't think that's what was being said here. If anything, it sounds like criticism of the left for protesting what he saw as a done deal. And so twisting this into definitive proof that this individual was attending that protest rather than just being a simple bystander, and that he's far left, he's anti-Trump, he's pro-Palestine, well, that is objective fake news. And if you are spreading that, I don't care what side of the aisle that you're on, you are engaging in the exact same garbage that the leftist mainstream media does. And now on the flip side, it seems as though there is in fact some solid evidence to suggest that this kid was in fact a Republican. We've got Tallahassee voter registration, which is where the suspected shooter lived. The name matches up, Phoenix Eichner, age 20, same age as well. And supposedly, according to Tallahassee voter registration data, his party affiliation is listed as Republican Party. There's also an alleged photo of the kid where he seems to be wearing a Make America Great Again hat. And there's also an alleged student who supposedly knew him who made a media appearance where he identifies him as a staunch right-winger, supposed far-right, white supremacist Nazi. That's basically what he called him.
I was president of a political talk group at Tallahassee State College, which he was a member of, and he was known for espousing white supremacist and alt-right rhetoric to the extent where we had to ask him to leave. And it's my understanding that at some point he was allowed back after I came to Florida State, where he continued to push white supremacist rhetoric. He's known for doing this. I heard one account that he had referred to Rosa Parks as being in the wrong. So this is nothing new. This isn't anything that's foreign to Phoenix.
And so there seems to be more evidence suggesting that he was in fact not a left-wing activist. And I personally think it's important to acknowledge that for the purpose of clarity and also to maintain good standing on issues like this, not to stoop to the same dishonest garbage that the left engages in. And let me be clear, if this kid actually did this in the name of MAGA or right-wing ideology, if that becomes undeniable, clear, if he has a manifesto of sorts, as we've seen with other individuals who have committed acts like this, then I don't think we should deny it, deceive, lie. I don't think we should run away from it. I think we should condemn it unequivocally, because that's what integrity and consistency looks like. And that, in nearly every single case, is what the left refuses to do when the roles are reversed. And so those are the facts as we know them so far. But we also don't necessarily want to jump steps here because we don't actually know the motive. What we do know so far is that clearly he was mentally unstable and allegedly committed an absolutely heinous act of violence, and the motive currently is not confirmed and not clear. And yet, here we are, watching left-wingers all over social media, already branding this as a supposed MAGA massacre. And so while I've condemned the dishonesty that we've seen from certain opportunistic right-wing characters, let's say, we gotta also condemn that left-wingers are jumping to conclusions here and attempting to again build on this narrative that right-wing violence and MAGA violence is the greatest threat to the homeland. There is no evidence to suggest that. There's no evidence to suggest that this was even a right-wing motivated attack, although it's possible that it could have been. And also, it's one incident in a sea of left-wing violence and acts of terrorism. So clearly the left is salivating at the mouth here, attempting to politicize this, not only to fit that narrative, but now also renewing their push to gut the Second Amendment. Of course, the left-wing gun-grabbing vultures are once again circling. No surprise there, every single time something like this happens, this is what the left does. They skip over every detail, every nuance, every fact, and just use the tragedy to push the exact same old tired agenda. Now is time to ban legal gun ownership, right? Or gun reform, gun control. I'm sure you're going to be hearing all kinds of left-wingers talking about AR-15s, bump stocks, extended clips, assault weapons, fully automatic machine guns. But clearly it's yet again an opportunistic move to push their gun-grabbing power play agenda. The reality is, in this case, taking guns away from legal gun owners would not have stopped this tragedy.
And we understand that you all have been devastated because of this person's actions. The question as it relates to who is the shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, and he's the son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Our Deputy Eichner, has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. She has a tremendous job that she's done. Her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons. That was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we are continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to.
Yeah, so from what we understand right now, this kid wasn't a gun nut who was stockpiling AR-15s. He didn't take advantage of any loopholes. No, from what's being reported as of right now, his mother was a sheriff's deputy, and he got his hands allegedly on his mother's department-issued weapon, and that's how he got the weapon to conduct this heinous act. So the left-wing argument, of course, doesn't necessarily apply here. I mean, what's the logic that we should ban police from having firearms, disarm law enforcement families? Now, there's obviously a conversation to be had relating to his mother's alleged irresponsibility in how she was keeping her weapons at home, and of course that's a conversation to have, but the left-wing push to gut the Second Amendment, absolutely not. And again, they're targeting you, your rights, your inalienable right to own a firearm, to protect yourself, your family, and of course, to protect against the inevitable threat of a tyrannical regime. And so the gun-grabbing calls continue, but thankfully enough, President Trump isn't falling for the outrage and he's standing tall.
There are now 2 deceased following that shooting at Florida State University. Following and amid that, is there any changes that you want to see to gun legislation? Anything you see broken with gun laws in our country?
I'm going to have to look. I'm a big advocate of the Second Amendment. I have been from the beginning. I protected it, and these things are terrible. But the gun doesn't do the shooting. The people do. It's a phrase that's used probably too often. I will tell you that it's a shame. I'm just hearing about it now. I know the area very well. I know the school very well. I know everything about it. It's Florida, and we'll have more to say about it later.
What do you mean when you say there will be more to say about it?
Only in terms of what happened. As far as legislation is concerned, this has been going on for a long time. I have an obligation to protect the Second Amendment. I ran on the Second Amendment, among many other things, and I will always protect the Second Amendment.
No cave-ins, no buckling to the emotional mob. Donald Trump states unequivocally that he knows that the real battle is not against the guns and not against legal gun owners. The real battle is against the clear cultural rot that we are experiencing, and of course the mental illness crisis that the country is facing. And so anyways, just to wrap this up, I guess I just want to issue a couple statements here. Firstly, I condemn the lies that are being pushed by some on the right, who are clearly engaging in narrative manipulation. The simple fact is there's crazy people on all political sides. Now, of course, to varying degrees, but the idea that somebody who identifies as a Republican or right-wing would never commit a heinous act like this, it's just not reality. There's mentally ill people on both sides. To try to hide it or twist it when somebody who voted the same way as you did is just purely dishonest and makes us all look bad. And secondly, I condemn the left's disgusting attempt to paint this mass shooting as a political act of MAGA terrorism without any evidence. And of course, I condemn the shameless left-wing push for gun control that follows every single tragedy like clockwork. And that's basically my full analysis on what we've seen so far surrounding the FSU shooting. And now, like usual, we'll have to let things play out, let the truth speak for itself, and always stand up for the constitutional right to bear arms. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.